So I run the business applications consulting and the digital services for Fujitsu, right? I had a very interesting meeting in the morning before I get on to this. Somebody asked me a question, and it was a very intriguing question. This was a question. The question was, how do you think Fujitsu is transforming internally? Right? That set me thinking. Because it's not just about Fujitsu transforming internally, because internal transformation is a reflection of what we're doing with our customers. And then I went back to when I joined Fujitsu. Not very long, by the way. I didn't have 10 years of Farid. I joined Fujitsu 20 months back. Less than 2 months to 2 years now. And I can tell you with a lot of pride that Fujitsu is 180 degrees different to a company that I joined 2 years back. 2 years back, we were known as a product company. We were known as an infrastructure services company. We were known as a telecoms company. But today, when I take what I call the social media map of Fujitsu, we are known as a digital company. We are known as a company which drives social innovation, human-centric innovation by leveraging digital transformation and technologies. So with that, let me start my presentation. Before I start, I want all of you here to start thinking something big, very big, right? I'm not sure how many of you are Marvel Comics and DC Comics fan here, by the way. I'm sure I am one, by the way. Let's think of something very, very big, right? Think that if you could choose a superpower, it can be Superman, Spider-Man, He-Man, whatever you want to call it. If you could choose a superpower for your business, what would you want that to be? By the way, this is a poll, so keep those things handy. What would you want to do? Would you want to always make all those right decisions, have X-ray visions, read your customer's mind, be immune to risks and threats, see into the future? What could be your disruptive vision for the future? And what would your organization look like if you have any one of these superpowers? How would it change? And what change would you do, not just to your organization, but also to the society and to the customer? Now, can I request you to take your polling buttons and take this poll for the next 15 seconds? The poll, please. Fantastic. Fantastic, right? Everywhere I go and give a keynote speech. I was in Brussels, I was in Helsinki, did a speech, and I was not giving a speech in London, but I was in the audience in London. I can tell you, this throws up such a varied mixture of emotions. A lot of people wanting to make the right decisions, they want to look at X-ray vision, read your customer's mind, immunity to risks and threats, see into the future. But I'm very surprised that people are wanting to see into the future more than wanting to read your customer's mind, right? So we'll keep this, we'll park this for a second. I will come back to why we did this poll at the end of this presentation. So imagine, forget about the 5 superpowers that you had. Imagine you could save a life. Imagine you could contribute in helping somebody from not committing suicide. Imagine you could help pull out people from getting into depression. 1 in 15 adult population have suffered from depression over the last 12 months. 4 in 15, nearly 27% of these people have either gone into, got mental disorders such as either alcohol dependency, substance abuse, and which has led to a high level of suicide rate. 90% of suicides that happen is also connected to, in some form or other, either a mental depression or an alcohol or a substance abuse. The key is not to find the right questions, but to find the right answers. It's not that we don't have data. We have all the data. We have the relevant people to ask all the right questions, but how to find the right answers ahead of time to help some of these people. So in World Health Organization conducted a survey, and they found that about 800,000 people committed suicide in the last 12 months. Why this is happening? What is driving this? How can we help these people from not doing such a heinous activity to themselves? It's not that we don't have the data. We have all these data. We know the 1%, we know the 4 and 5, we know the 800,000. The key is to find the right solution for it, as I said. And this is where artificial intelligence comes in. We have been working with San Carlos Hospital in Madrid. And we have used our artificial intelligence machine learning platform, deep learning platform, to collect data from some of these patients anonymously, some of these patients who have been working with doctors, and help doctors take the right decision. So medicine suddenly, being a doctor, suddenly moves away from being a service-oriented organization or a service-oriented profession to a very outcome-oriented profession. And we have been working with San Carlos to do exactly this. And San Carlos was actually wrestling with this, where they had more patients that were coming in than what the doctors could handle. So the data has analyzed 36,000 medical records over the last 2 years. And the system analyzes clinical data. It's able to identify patterns, trends, what are the behavioral signs that happens, whether it is going to lead to drug dependency, alcohol dependency. It collects multiple sets of data using multiple vectors to understand and create a profile of an anonymized patient. Absolutely key, of course, is the security of the patient, and the algorithm does take care of it. We don't want private information of patient going out. And now, at the end of about 9 months or so, we compared the performance of a system, artificial intelligence system, with 8 clinicians who would have analyzed the data to deliver a report to the doctor to say, that patient, I'm not saying you are, that patient is at risk, or this patient is at risk. Now, we were able to do it in a matter of minutes. It would have taken 9 months for 8 clinicians to come to this conclusion. So that is what artificial intelligence can deliver by way of benefit. Of course, this is at a very early stage, and we are at about 95% accuracy when it comes to what we are delivering to the doctors. There's every hope and possibility that we will very soon exceed human decision-making on this. Fair to say, there would be instances where we would not have caught a trend to depression, and the artificial intelligence platform would have enabled doctors to identify them, which a normal physician would not have. That's a fantastic way of helping our society, human-centric innovation, by leveraging some of these digital technologies, isn't it? Moving on. There's a lot being talked about artificial intelligence. I know that we have a lot of experts in the room. Let me give you my 2 bits on what this artificial intelligence is all about. We've heard about San Carlos, but we are working not just with the medical industry. We're working with multiple industries on artificial intelligence, and I can take you through multiple examples. Of course, one of my favorites is what we do in Denmark, which is in manufacturing on wind blades, windmill blades. As they call it wings, by the way. And when I met somebody, they had a vice president of wings. So it was a great designation to have, by the way, especially having a DC and a Marvel Comics, a favorite fan of mine. So in Fujitsu, we did a survey. And then we said, okay, a lot of buzz is happening around artificial intelligence. Can you tell us, what is it that you're doing about artificial intelligence? 100% of the CIOs, CEOs have heard about artificial intelligence. In the survey, we found that 81% of the CIOs and CEOs felt artificial intelligence gives phenomenal opportunities for growing their business, phenomenal opportunities for improving operational efficiency, excellent opportunities for changing the way they are currently doing their business. That 81% also felt that artificial intelligence will change the way their business is being run currently. But what have they done about it? Less than 19% of the respondents have actually done anything about it. So there is a huge potential which is being accepted by a lot of business leaders on artificial intelligence. Let me also take you through a bit more on what we are doing in AI and what we understand by AI. Fujitsu has got a legacy of technology research for 80 plus years now. Over all these years, we have been developing codes, algorithms, which has helped in creating algorithms of machine learning. And these machine learning tools have got something called as deep learning capabilities within built them. So it's like saying, putting it in a very simple context, in a narrow context, it's like putting some data into it, giving some trend to the data, and saying if these trends are being said, this is the decision or the outcome that could be taken, but with a small difference. We could do that in predictive analytics. The deep learning algorithms learn from that data. If they make a mistake, they don't make the same mistake again. They try not to. And they learn from the mistakes they make. They learn from the predictions, which is not the correct decision. And that is where the training data comes in. Based on certain set of training data that goes in to some of these deep learning machine learning language, we have been able to come up with a framework of tools which can help in creating a full-fledged artificial intelligence framework. Of course, this area is rapidly advancing, in partly because we see that there are more powerful technologies which are coming in, there are new techniques which are coming in, and arranging computing systems like neurons in the brain. We are learning from biology here, rather than have an array and how we can index the data, how we can access the data. We are starting to see new ways of arranging data, and we are mimicking brain on neural networks to enable some of these deep learning. So how does this artificial intelligence going to deliver a business benefit to customer? One we saw in Carlos. The second, I talked about some of the manufacturing. But let me tell you, artificial intelligence is going to become commonplace. Your cloud is going to have artificial intelligence. Your IoT technologies where you're collecting data from sensors are going to have artificial intelligence. All your product platforms are very soon going to have artificial intelligence. Your mobile phones will have artificial intelligence. Your websites will have artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence is going to become an absolutely all-encompassing technology platform, like web, for example, like cloud, for example, right? So it is changing the way business is behaving. So let's take another poll here, right? We, of course, see digital disruption appearing everywhere. I know a lot of you have come from different sectors. A lot of you are from public services, but I know people from transport are here, people from airline industry are here, some people from manufacturing and pharmaceuticals are here. So let's take another poll, all right? The poll is, will your sector be digitally disrupted over the next 5 years? These are the options, and then let's talk about it, right? Let's start the poll, please. Oh, great. Oh, wow. Yes, it will fundamentally change. Yes, it will change in specific area. Wow. Okay. So I'm so glad. This has given a much more consistent view of what I've been seeing everywhere. I think there is more and more acceptance of the fact that this whole new thing called digital, this whole new thing called artificial intelligence is going to change the way we all function. Right from your toothbrushes to your suits to your milkshakes, your shake-making machines at home, the blenders, to your washing machines, everything is going to be connected to the internet. And that is going to change not just the way you behave, not just the way we as humans behave, but the way customers, companies which are providing some of these equipments and services are also going to behave. They are going to behave much more intelligently. For example, I would be finding it very easy if somebody can come back and say, your washing machine needs to be serviced. And you know what? We have been doing a sensing test, and you've not been using the right detergent. We would like to come and give you a coaching on how and what could be done. Those are the kind of things which we are starting to see to happen in today's world. Right? If we are not bold, we are not going to help ourselves in this world of digital transformation. So in the survey, we also found 75% of the business leaders exactly said the same thing what you said. It's not 43%. 75% said that their business is going to fundamentally change in the next 5 years. And more than half believe that their organizations will not exist in the current form as they exist today in the next 5 years' time. And less than 7% felt that they were leading in digital transformation. What does it throw? It throws an immense opportunity for industry and companies like us to engage together to help in this whole digital transformation journey. And the question that I would like to ask here is, are you, as industry leaders, leading this total digital transformation and disruption that is happening? Are you? In this new world of digital, it's the boldest organization which is willing to change that will prosper. In fact, I would probably go to the other extreme and say, if you're not bold enough, if you don't have the propensity to change, and if you're not willing to change, you won't exist in the next 5 years. Because the whole gamut of technologies, the whole way of engagement, the agility with which you need to engage will change. And there are some technology pillars which are helping in enabling this change. I keep quoting this one quote of Charles Darwin, which says, it's not the strongest, it's not the smartest of the species that will survive. It is the one that is the most adaptable to change. And I think that is something which is very relevant in today's world when we're looking at digital disruption. Let me take you through a few other case studies that we have won. But before that, another key pillar which is driving this change of digital disruption. One is, of course, artificial intelligence. The second one is the second pillar is IoT, is specifically around manufacturing in the automotive space. What we are seeing is that historically, it's estimated that the downtime costs in a manufacturing plant is about $22,000 per minute. Per minute. So that's about $1.2 million per hour, right? This is on a plant. And of course, manufacturers have ways and means of recovering some of this by charging penalties to some of their suppliers in the supply chain, which can go up to about $4,000 per minute of the $22,000. We're starting to see some big numbers here, right? And of course, we do have natural downtimes on manufacturing. We do have some disruptions happening, and we do have some defective units coming out, which anyway have about 5% or so impact on the total efficiency of a manufacturing plant. So we do know of some of the high-profile cases that were available in the public domain. We know of Volkswagen, which set aside about $7.3 billion for Europe. I'm not talking about the catalytic converter stuff. I'm talking about the recall, by the way. We knew about Toyota, which for product efficiencies. We knew about Takata, the airbag manufacturer, which set aside $24 billion. And of course, manufacturers also have huge costs around managing their inventory. So there is a supply chain problem also they have, whether the demand meets the supply. Digitalization can help in all these stuff. When I say digitalization, I'm talking about the second pillar of IoT as one of the ways of digitalizing a manufacturing shop floor. An Internet of Things specifically can create value in delivering some of these key capabilities that are needed by the manufacturing customers. I'll take you through one client example. How many of you have heard about this company called Inesa Group, outside of Fujitsu, by the way? All right, so Inesa Group is a state-owned Chinese enterprise. It's a very large manufacturing company in China. We have partnered with them on a co-creation basis with China, with this company, to set up a digitalized factory. We call it the integrated dashboard for manufacturing. It is part of their national initiative called Made in China 2025, where they want more manufacturing to happen in China, but they want to have more digital manufacturing happening in China. That's the big difference, right? It aligns very well with what I've been hearing in UAE and people when I met with customers between yesterday and today, where there is an innate acceptance that if we don't become digital here in this region, we will not be competitive globally. So we have piloted something called as a smart factory. And what does a smart factory do? And how does Internet of Things come to play here? And we use big data to enable this whole stuff. There are smart sensors that have been placed all around this factory, and these smart sensors collect data and provide to the plant manager a kind of a virtual factory in the place that he's sitting in. So without even moving an inch from the place that he's working, he's able to get a 360-degree view of what's happening and a 3D view of what's happening on the shop floor, right? And it is not just that. And you can actually take a walkthrough of the shop floor using this integrated dashboard. You as a person, the plant engineer, can walk through this dashboard to say, what's happening in that particular industry? What are the sensor data I'm getting here? How am I going to change this? Oh, there seems to be a problem. There's a red light coming in. How can I send the right engineer to sort this out? So downtime can be reduced phenomenally even before it becomes an issue. Now, we have these sensors, and what do these sensors do? These sensors provide data on assets and objects, the machines, the plants, the equipments that are there on the shop floor. We also have processes, whether it is going through right, whether the efficiencies are going through, whether the right throughputs are coming in. Most importantly, we also take care of people there. Today, this was an actual real-life example. We had one of the shop floor workers fall down between two machines, not very visible. This happened in China, actually, not in this customer, in a different customer. And it took 1.5 hours for somebody to find out that the worker has fallen down, right? And the worker was unconscious. Imagine how much help we could have given had we known that, yep, there is a worker who has fallen down, we need to send immediate medical help. So it collects data of workers working on the shop floor, people. And then, of course, the environment. It collects data around humidity, temperature. Is it safe for people to work? Is it the right temperature for the machine to work? Should we switch on the air conditioning automatically? Should we switch it off? All those decisions can be taken automatically, remotely by some of these data that we're collecting from some of the sensors. It gives an absolutely unprecedented 360-degree walkthrough view of the shop floor to the plant manager. Most importantly, it also gives an advance warning of potential failures that can happen. Oh, I'm getting a sensor heat that this temperature is heating. There's a vibration that's happening. We need to shut down this machine so that we don't create a subsequent issue on production. More importantly, it also gives an audit trial and replay needed if there are some issues that did happen. So, okay, what happened? Our production has stopped, or a worker has fallen down. What happened? Why did we not capture this? Where is the process wrong? And it helps in creating course corrections for some of these processes, which are very critical. So benefits are absolutely impressive on just this one pilot. We have seen that it has improved the efficiency of the shop floor by 25%. Can you just imagine what it is going to do to the stock prices of this company once they roll out this integrated dashboard? It's going to be a phenomenal benefit on cost that's getting delivered. So, but above all, the most intangible view is the plant manager, without even moving an inch, getting a view of everything that is happening across board on the shop floor. That's the most intangible view from what I understood when I went and saw this particular dashboard. Now, let me talk you through about the next pillar, which is driving this whole digital transformation. This is about cloud. This is about hybrid. When I say hybrid, what I mean is it is about marrying the existing investments that we already have in IT with the new investments that we are compelled to do because of digital transformation. How do we balance this? How do we orchestrate this? How do we bring the legacy infrastructure that we have with the new cloud infrastructure and still orchestrate the workload in the best optimal way for the enterprise. And of course, all the digital solutions, let it be IT, let it be artificial intelligence, of course, can work on premise, but the kind of data we are talking about is very soon going to outrun the data storage that we need and the processing capacity that is needed. So cloud becomes very imperative on any digital transformation story. And of course, cloud gives you many things. I need not talk anything about it, but a few of them. Of course, it gives a platform scale. You can scale it up, down, the peaks, troughs, depending upon seasons, depending upon the kind of usage and power that you need. It gives you agility, of course, ability to bring things online, to come up with products much more easier. Go-to-market gets reduced by 98%. You need not wait for provisioning of hardware. You can get the provisioning done at a click of a button. Of course, you have these new cool things called APIs. You want to bring in a payment API, you can just plug it in, call in the web services and plug it in. You want a supply chain API, call it in, plug it in. It becomes a supply chain API for you. So cloud has this phenomenal capacity of scalability, agility, APIs. And of course, the last one is around balance and control, right? This is where the orchestration layer comes in, where you don't want to throw away the billions of dollars that you have already invested on your IT, on your legacy infrastructure. How to maintain the balance between saving my existing investment, but at the same time, get ready myself for the future, an organization of future. And that's where hybrid comes in, where we have this balance and control between these legacy investments and new investments that we need to do. And this is another pillar which is enabling digital transformation across the world. I'll take you through another quick example. This is a customer story again. This is a Swedish, Nordic customer. This is in Finland. There's a company called S Group. S Group is one of the Finland's largest retailers, actually. And as being a retailer, they also have these fuel stations all across Finland. We co-created a solution with them. The S Group company has got a brand called ABC of fuel stations. Right? And now, they have about 1,600 outlets in Finland, and mostly, they're also cooperative-based outlets. It's not privately owned, but cooperative-based. ABC Petrol wanted to do something very innovative to the customer, but they were not sure of the kind of data that's going to come in. What's the data usage? Do they need to invest so much money in putting up hardware? Do they need to set up servers? Do they need to set up data center to do it? So they came to Fujitsu and said, this is the idea that you think that we have. Do you think it'll work? Do you think we can work together to find something? So Fujitsu worked with the S Group, ABC Petrol team, to come up with a solution. This is about creating a mobile app. And I wish somebody in the country that I live, which is UK, has done this, but they didn't do it till now, is you you drive into a petrol station, and you look at you boot your app up, and the app says, we see you in this fuel station or going to that fuel station, near that fuel station. You know what? Pump number 3 is available for you for the next 1 minute or 30 seconds, right? You go, you park your car there, you fuel up. You need not pay card, you need not use your credit card, you need not go to the kiosk to pay money, you need not pay cash, you just shut down and you drive away. The mobile app is integrated with your card systems, and it automatically debits the amount of money from the kiosks using your mobile app to your bank account, right? Look at the kind of convenience that it would give for a driver who comes in for fueling up. Now, there is IoT involved in this. There is a level of big data involved in this. More importantly, there is cloud involved in it, because they did not know how many customers will use this app, whether this app will be successful or not, what times would these apps require different level of loads, what is the kind of transactions will happen, what is the kind of load it will create on the payment service. So they did not have any of these data points to talk about. So we helped them leverage cloud to deliver some of the benefits that cloud can deliver. Now, we used Fujitsu's 4-core control software, which is our own IP. We also used our middleware to help them integrate a lot of stuff to cloud. And we were surprised at the kind of response we got on this app. 800,000 app download happened over the last about 8 months or so. And it has grown 5-fold over the last 8 months. So this app, by leveraging cloud, by leveraging IoT, by leveraging some level of big data, has genuinely helped our customer in transforming their fuel application into become a digitally disruptive application. A lot of customers are now starting to use ABC Petrol, not because they are cheaper. I wish they would, because it would probably increase their market share better, but it's because they find it much more convenient to go into an ABC Petrol, no need to bother, no need to queue up, and no need to even pay for it. It automatically gets debited, right? Let's go and do one more poll, and I assure you that will probably be the last one, or maybe one more. So if knowing these are the kind of things that is happening in the world of digital, what are the things that you're most worried about when it comes to digital, right? The poll. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. I'm very interested to speak to somebody who's not worried about digital. Wow. I would really like to speak to this. So you know, I think this poll also reflects what's there in the mind of 95% of the people. I'm going to leave the last 8.1% away. 95% of the people are worried about digital, not because of it being a culture change or finding people. They are worries, I'm not saying they are not, but it is not something which is really eating into their minds. What is really eating into their mind is the security threats comprising company or customer data. I think this is the biggest issue today on digital. Imagine, as I said, your toothbrush, to your washing machine, to your mobile phone, everything throwing up data into cloud, and oh, is that secure? Do we have the right level of security on cloud? Or forget cloud, even in our own data center. Is there a hacking possibility? Is there some kind of cybersecurity that can happen? And I know that we have been hearing a lot of stories of such stuff happening all over the place. So, security has never been more important. Let's be very clear. With this IoT thing coming up, with the cloud thing coming up, with this whole big data stuff coming up, with so much of devices being put on internet, security has never been important. And the security is not just cyber security. There is physical security, there is security on intrusion, there is, of course, security on identity, and there is, of course, security on cyber, data security. There are multiple layers of security, and we have threats in each layers of this security. Of course, we need to comply with certain data regulations, which will create some level of comfort to people. It'll create some level of security inbuilt in a lot of these systems that we build, that everybody builds, but an organizational security always remains a very, very important fear and concern in the mind of customers who are embarking on this digital transformation. 93% in the report that we created, 93% of the organization have had a security breach in the last 1 year, right? And the average cost of each of these breaches, whether we like it or not, whether we actually quantify it or not, stands at about an astounding $3.5 million, right? This includes cost of downtime, everything put together. And in a third of these cases, leads to about 8 million of downtime. Remember the numbers I talked about in manufacturing, 1.2 million per hour? Multiply that by 8 hours. You can then imagine what's the kind of money we are talking about here. And most importantly, a lot of customers do not even know that there is a security threat. Nearly 60% of customers took 9 months to know, oh, that there is a problem in my security, after they have been attacked by somebody, right? So with stats like this, it's not going to be the case of, does an organization need a security protocol? If it needs it, it's more about when, it's more about now, it's more about how can we help some of our customers undertake this digital journey without having the fear of any of these cybersecurity threats. And organizations, small or big, must respond, irrespective of the size, irrespective of what kind of investments they are put in. It is extremely important that we should be abreast of what the antisocial elements can do to our security. Now, another one customer example, Norsk Hydro is it's a Norwegian aluminum and an energy company, very large company. It's a social infrastructure. It's one of those companies which have great standing in society. And if this company goes down, the Norwegian economy, Norwegian society goes down. That's the level of importance this company has in the Norwegian society. So we have worked with them in creating a secure IT system for them, but the beauty of this is the IT secure system does not stop at just cybersecurity. We created all the layers for them. We created a data security layer. We created a cybersecurity layer. We also created a physical security layer. We use what we call as Palm Secure. I'm not sure we have Palm Secure here today in demo. Do we? If it is there, it'll be a fantastic thing for you to go and test it out. You need, of course, register for it. The moment you register, you must have heard about thumb impression, you must have heard about iris. What this does is that it takes care of your, it takes the image fascia of your entire hand, palm, right? It's not about just the fingerprints that you have on the palm, because you're not going to touch anything, you're just going to hover over it. It calculates the blood running on your veins. It calculates how many veins are there in your palm. It even calculates whether you are under pressure or not. So there are multiple layers of security that can be put into Palm Secure to ensure that we have the right people, have the right access to the right places. And we implemented that in Hydro, right? So we are doing some great work when it comes to cybersecurity with some of our customers. They are now planning to expand into Brazil. And if they expand into Brazil, they want to move this to about 4,000 users in Brazil alone. And they expect that right at the beginning, when they're wanting to expand into Brazil, they need to go with the right level of security to help them be a very digitally disruptive company right from day one. And that is the vision that I think a lot of companies which are expanding globally are taking into the market today, where instead of getting into a market and then trying to build a digitally disruptive organization, they're starting to be digitally disruptive into a market that they're actually entering. So we work with Hydro, and security is another big pillar when it comes to digital transformation for Fujitsu. And we have multiple cases, multiple examples of how we have helped customers go through some of these security threats. Some of them are extremely confidential, which we cannot talk about, of course, for all the right reasons. It's brand, of course, it is also because they contain some sensitive data, because some of the work that we do are on what I call the nationally critical data work. I think that's the right way to put it, right? So, which we cannot talk about. So I can tell you that our capabilities are probably one among the best when it comes to cybersecurity. So, how does all this come together? And this is, in the morning we spoke about this again. It is not about AI. It is not about IoT. It is not about cloud. It is not about security. It is about connecting all these disparate technologies and creating a connected service to the customer. Our value proposition is not any one of these individually. Of course, they all can stand individually, but our value proposition is delivering a business outcome by connecting all these things together, right? So let's take all the examples that we talked about. San Carlos, we talked about artificial intelligence, we talked about big data there, we talked about some level of connectivity, and we talked about AI. Cloud. We talked about Inessa. Inessa is about cloud, it's about security, it's about business intelligence, and it is about IoT. We talked about S Group. It is about mobility, mobile application development, it is about cloud, it is about security, and some level of IoT. We talked about Hydro, which is about some level of security, and it is also talking about some level of infrastructure and cloud. So as you can see, what Fujitsu does, and probably one of the few companies in the world who has end-to-end capability to address some of these new challenges that we're starting to see in digital transformation, right from the products, to communication, to IoT, to artificial intelligence, to infrastructure services and cloud, to delivering big data solutions and mobile applications if it is needed. Very few companies have the end-to-end. Some of them do not have products, some of them do not have infrastructure, some of them do not have cloud. Fujitsu probably has end-to-end, right? So we understand the business pretty well. So what we are talking about, some of these outcomes that we deliver to our customer are pretty transformational outcomes, right? Think back to the original question that we had, the superpower question that I had, right? Always making the right decision. Healthcare professionals using AI to make the right decision by engaging with more patients, right? Think about the X-ray vision. How about the plant manager in INESA having an X-ray vision going nowhere, sitting in his workstation, able to have a 3D vision and a 360-degree vision where he can do a walkthrough of the shop floor. Read your customer's mind. Retailers are using IoT and AI and mobile application to deliver a user experience where you can read your customer's mind. Okay, I need to go to the ABC petrol pump to fuel my car. An immunity to risks and threats. How can we help our customers preempt some of the issues that might come up, right, from physical, data, logical security, cybersecurity, to help them in creating a digitally transformative organization by enabling security. See into the future. Use deep learning, neural networks, machine language, and artificial intelligence to see how we can enable some of the doctors, as I said in San Carlos, to see this particular patient may have a higher propensity and risk to get into a depression. I need to engage with this person better. So now I'm sure you would all think that we would have wanted all those 5 superpowers rather than just one, right? So the objective is that, and that is what digital transformation really enables. And when we say digital transformation from Fujitsu, it is not about asking customer, what's your digital transformation? What's your strategy? We work with customer, and we call it digital co-creation. We have never worked with a customer who says, I have my digital transformation strategy, absolutely spot on, everything is ready, come on Fujitsu, come and deliver. This is so new, and this is so disruptive that not many of the customers, including Fujitsu as a vendor, is not very clear on what needs to be done and how it needs to be delivered. So we work very closely with customer, and we call it digital co-creation. We have worked with San Carlos on a co-creation basis, worked with INESA on a co-creation basis, S Group on a co-creation basis, Norsk Hydro on a co-creation basis, and the wind power example that I said on a co-creation basis. In fact, if you really look at it, all our digital work till date has always been on a digital co-creation basis. So before I end this presentation, I would just like to say that these are very disruptive digital work that is happening within Fujitsu. Please engage with us. We are more than happy to engage with you on a co-creation mode to help you enable your digital journey and how Fujitsu can come in and step in to help on your digital journey. Thank you. Thanks a lot.